And now offering a general reading. As always, explore what resonates. Your awareness to your own experience is far greater than anything I have to say. Offering this today in hopes that it inspires you on your journey to expand your perspective in some way. And I got this week an installation. And to me, an installation is far different than this packaged painting with a frame. It's more of experience, and it's like an experience, like buckle up, get in, let's experience this, let's dive in to what can be. And some of that can be uncomfortable. If you think about a roller coaster ride, some of that's uncomfortable, and then some of it's exhilarating, and some of it's frightening, and some of it's fun. So the installation that came to me, I'm sorry, I don't have the name of it because there is tons about his work, Seedbed, but the work that came to mind from Vito Acconci, it was something else other than Seedbed, and I couldn't find it on Google, and I do apologize for that. But he had this one installation where he whispered his secrets. He shared and exposed his vulnerability, but because it was a whisper, you had to come close. And part of the installation, he was also swinging a baseball bat and blindfolded. And yeah, some art makes you uncomfortable, and I like it because it pushes you outside of your comfort zone. It pushes you beyond your ego, but kind of works with it in a way. It's like poking at the bear and saying, hey, look at this. So it was very brave to be a part of this installation, whether as a witness to the experience or from his perspective as a performance artist, to really dive into the human experience and push the boundaries of how we feel about ourselves and what we accept in culture as a norm and what's appropriate. So what I took from the bat and the blindfold, the bat, what are your defense mechanisms? What fight are you putting up? What resistance is there within you? And why? Why is there this resistance? But it's being aware of it in a kind, compassionate way, because those mechanisms, that coping strategy, that fight, is there for a reason. It protected in some way. And is that still appropriate today? Is it necessary? Does it need to be reevaluated? Do you need to look at how you are resisting your experience of life? Do you need to look at how you are fighting with another human being or fighting something within yourself? And the blindfold came to me in a couple of ways. What are you not seeing? What are you choosing not to see? You think of that hear no, speak no, evil. It's like not wanting to see the shadow material inside, not wanting to expose vulnerabilities to yourself and another. And that's frightening. Believe me, I know I run from myself all the time. But it's necessary to get in there deeper. And when you choose not to see, that's when you trip yourself up, which is interesting because our mind thinks that if we hide from something, if we choose not to see it, we can protect ourselves, right? But it actually gets in the way. The ego is actually tripping itself up with these coping strategies. And I also thought of the blindfold as kind of like the tower moment. So that tower of like breaking open and change. And so when you take off that blindfold, what do you see? What's available to you? What growth point is there? So thinking in terms of opportunity for growth rather than that sandwiched critique where you say like one positive point and then put in there the meat that you need to work with and then another positive point. It's really just opening it up and seeing the whole thing, seeing all parts of yourself for who you are and who are you capable of growing into, regardless of that resistance, like working with it, like, okay, I see you, I'm here, let's go deeper, right? And so with this installation, this mindset of an internal struggle and connection, I kind of ask Spirit, like, okay, so what's next? We have this powerful performance piece coming through. What is the next step of integrating this new awareness? And they showed me an image of two humans facing each other, holding infants. And to me, this was kind of like, instead of that blindfold and that fight, it was this coddling, it was this compassion, it was this exposure, but also this point where two humans are like, I see you, I see you. And seeing two ways, seeing those vulnerabilities and handling it with care, kind of like, not kid gloves, like walking on eggshells, we need to be careful, but with heart, saying, I see you, I'm going to handle this infant kindly, I'm going to handle all parts of you kindly, rather than throwing the kitchen sink at it. But also this point of seeing anew. So if we think of like an infant that's new, a fresh new life, and regardless of the past experiences you've had within yourself or with a connection or another person has had, can you see the human in front of you? Can you see this experience you're having of yourself? Can you see this experience in general in life anew, like with fresh eyes, fresh perspective, like this? I'm thinking of like a bow. In Thai Sophia, there was transformative practices we did on a daily, and then kind of checked in with each other weekly of how these practices were going. And one of our practices was to bow, and it was like no resistance to the experience and no ego. It's literally just bowing with reverence to what is in this moment. So bowing to yourself, bowing and honoring this moment, this spiritual or this human experience, or bowing to each other and saying, I honor you and I let down my guard and I choose to see you and allow myself to be seen, loved, and held. So take that as it resonates. A lot packed in there in those two images. And I'm sorry that I don't know the name of the work. So I have a couple decks out, so we'll see where we go. Let's start with the Zombie Tarots, kind of seeing what the cards have to say with what we could be fighting or hiding. And as a general reading, it may or may not land. If you read cards, or even if you don't, just notice something in your body. If like something like really just sparks within, then maybe there's a message there for you. If I don't speak to something in a card and something comes to mind, pay attention to that. If I show the image and part of that image stands out to you, pay attention to that. So you get to read in your own way. There's what I get. There's what the cards mean, from like textbook meaning, and then there's like the meaning you take from it. So no right or wrong, good or bad. This is the opportunity to explore. All right, so bottom deck, Page of Hazards. So are you kind of like, what's interesting about this image is being tied to the mailbox. You're tied to a specific message, a specific communication. So can you drop how things are supposed to be and open to how things could be? And there's also this kind of look on his face of like trying to appease. So not appeasing, but doing what's right for you. Messages in the background, there's like the arm kind of coming out of the card. So maybe there's something else that wants to move or come through, but if you're tied to a specific way, as he stands to the mailbox, or this human does. All right, so we got one flip down, one flipped up. Three of Wands. Are you fighting? Are you kind of just like bulldozing in? And there might be some sort of pattern of the past that you like think this is what you're doing, but this might be what you're doing, So it's kind of, expanding. Now, we don't want to live for the perception of others. We want to live in our own truth. And it's more of it's being aware of how you come off versus what your intention is. And your intention, what you want to come with heart and truth. But sometimes, that might not always be the case. I was saying, no matter where I go, there I am. And I'm like, I think Tara Brock used to speak to this. She'd be like, I thought I dealt with this. Here we go again. We're human. And Seven of Wands. What are you defending? I notice he's standing under a carcass. So like, are you defending the dead? Are you defending your ego? Are you defending what needs to be buried, like to be let go? Cool. All right, so let's move on. So I have the aftertone, kind of looking at what, that was quick. Speaking of the tower, so it's after that jumping off point. We're on the ground, and now where do we stand up and go from here moment, which is why I picked this deck because of this. And what popped out is the Ace of Pentacles. We're starting again. They're starting anew. Okay, so what does that look like for you? What is that seed? And you have the good luck, you have the good fortune, you have spirit on your side. Bottom deck energy is the Queen of Pentacles. She is fertile grounds. She is grounded. When I say she, I just think in terms of energy, that yin energy of allowing that new seed to come to you rather than fighting for it, okay? And not fighting the change because it's already here. The change is already here. So what do these fertile grounds look like? What are you growing in your garden? What are you growing in life? What seeds are you planting? What is new for you? And new for you on the internal, and thinking of intrinsic motivation and of what spirit is nudging you forward, not what others might be negating or saying for you, on your behalf, or wanting from you. Like, what is your seed? What is your truth? What is going to work for you? No matter what. And how are you seeing your future? So she's looking into the pentacle, kind of looking into the crystal ball, looking into the crystal ball with clarity. So if scrying is something that works for you, you know, how can you take that time to see you? And it's not like the, what is that, Sleeping Beauty, where she's, or do I have the right Disney movie where the stepmom or one of the characters would like look in and want to see who's the fairest of them all. It's not using the gifts to foster your ego, but foster grounds for growth. Bottom deck energy is the Eight of Swords. You're not trapped by the past. You are not trapped. So what might feel like a roadblock of resistance might be a redirecting of your path. Thinking of the Cheshire Cat, it's like Alice was like looking to everyone else. Where's my answer? Where's my answer? Dorothy was looking to everyone else to get her home. Whereas inside that you find that place to grow forward. Ace of Cups. What's your passion? How beautiful that we have both the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups on the board. So following your emotional undercurrent, and it's not the emotional ties that like of doubt that backfire. It's that true intrinsic passion that says, let's go. Wheel of Fortune on the board. So karmic cycles coming to completion, or you are not. You are no longer trapped by those karmic cycles, and something is new because you've already made the change. Like you've already had that breakthrough to begin anew on the material plane that then gives you a fresh start in the emotional body as well. This Wheel of Fortune has both the bear and the lion, so you have the strength to rise above the adversity to cross that path. Do you want to burn your bridges and keep going? Do you want to cross that hurdle? Do you want to keep going, like bridging from the past to the present with fresh eyes, with new hope, with this new sense of freedom? Awakening to your truth and let it come in through to you and pour out. So when your cup is full, when you stand firm in the choices you make, regardless past, present, think also in terms of balance and integrated truth. So from if I think in terms, and I'm sorry, when I think of the yamas and niyamas, I'm not going to say them all for yoga, just thinking of like that dharma, karma, like all of it, like I just said a lot of words. But basically thinking in terms of all levels of the self. Just more words are coming through, but it's kind of like pieced in Wheel of Fortune. But so when I think of like yogic philosophy, there is more than the asana, right? There's more than your internal work. There's also the external work. When I think of like a wheel, a wellness wheel, there's more than the physical body. There's the mental, the emotional, social, and then we can bring social up into ways of intercommunication and intimacy, and kindness and compassion. We can also think in terms of sexual health. We can think in terms of erotic intelligence. When you think of the emotional body, emotional intelligence, and can you be aware of your emotional undercurrents? Can you grow past what feels like resistance or what traps you or what binds you? Sometimes we might have an emotion that we are comfortable with, whether it's something like depression, whether it's something like being on the spectrum of some sorts, and not be bound to that box. No different than like a prescription, a label, not to be bound by that, but kind of like open up to the full spectrum of your being in this world. And no matter what philosophy you look at, there is some dharma, there is some work to like you're here with this framework that might feel like a trap, and you might have this resistance and hold to it because that's all you know, right? So you stay kind of chained to what you know. But Spirit's saying, oh no, honey, oh no, we're changing this up for you. See it one step at a time. Every day, another step to take care of you. And you have the power. Sit still and let us do the work and bring it to you, because the cycles of rebirth and regeneration are now in their favor. The stars are aligning in your favor. It is time. It is time. So also, I never noticed there could be an elk or a deer. So if any of those animals speak to you, let me see what other animals are here in case. So the Wheel of Fortune has an elk or a deer, lion, and a bear. There's a dove with the Ace of Cups. There is a rabbit with the Queen of Pentacles. There are vines here, and a beetle with the Ace of Pentacles. Bats with the Tower. I think that's it for animals, in case any of that speaks to you. There's a lily pad also with this Ace of Cups. Can you allow yourself to be held in a new emotional space? I got goosebumps when I said that. So whether that is, it's both Spirit giving you that opportunity, like holding that fertile ground, Spirit, but also you holding that place to let it in. It's like twofold. If you're fighting what's happening in your world, it can't come through to you. Okay, so it's being like hand delivered, silver platter for you, and it might not feel comfortable because it's a new change, it's a fresh start. But getting off the hamster wheel of what was and coming into what can be, you are not trapped, you're redirected. Honor your place in this world. And I think it might be becoming more clear to you. And if you're like not sure, really sitting with, this is where that's sitting in, and allow it to come in. allow it to come in, like that delivery. How beautiful is this delivery of this dove with a plant, as opposed to waiting with cobwebs, chained. You're not bound, you're not bound, you're not bound. And on the flip side of, fighting your demons and like trying to push them down or battling others from it, taking a look, look in. And there's a mountain in the back, and there's a song that's been coming to mind all week, and it's Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I'll have to put that in the description because I'm not going to sing to you. And what I take from that is like, you can keep going. It's there for you. And it's that perseverance, which is beautiful when you have a 7 on the board here, the 7 of Wands. But what's really standing out is this Ace of Cups, this beautiful fountain, which also has mountains in the background. You perhaps could be at the top of your game and already overcome. Oh, I just flipped out. Oh, Queen of Wands. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. In this neighborhood. So being that shining light in the community, being that energy that raises their hands saying, I got this, I will be that light. And it's being that light for you in your own community, your own house, your own heart and soul, and then letting that shine out. What popped out was the Queen of Spades, or Queen of I would say knives, but that's not it. That's not the right word. Okay, who you are on the inside is what helps make and do everything in life. Who you are inside is what helps you make and do everything in life. Which is interesting because when we think of spades, we think of communication. Here I am tripping up on my words. But that he's speaking to that internal, external. So getting very clear on the internal, getting clear on that intention and with positive energy. And that's not to say we don't have our demons to face, and that's okay. Rising above in the material realm, step by step, taking the time to look in and know who you are. And when you know who you are, you have less resistance to what comes in for you. Yes, the doubt's there. We're human. Yeah, we can pick ourselves apart and say this isn't perfect, this isn't great. But when you know your intention is pure, when you are that energy, that Queen of Clubs, it becomes more clear in that movement, the trolley. You're more likely to step in and join the game, to communicate your truth, to be that. Wow. So you got 3 queens on the board. Lots of yin energy here. So fresh start for the divine feminine, I will say. And when I say that, it's more of, I think more yin versus yang. I'm seeing the yin yang, but more of that karmic balance, but this really beautiful fresh start in the material and emotional bodies. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you for listening along. Do hope this served well. Sending lots of light and love. Set now.